right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday and our Nicolas Catena Zapata tasting, which sold out before we even had a chance to send an email out on this. And this is a winery that people know, and I didn't realize over the 2004 through 2009 vintage that if you looked at the Wine Advocate, probably the most important wine publication in terms of collectors, in the top 10 in terms of the top scoring wines from 04 and 09, Nicolas Catena Zapata came out number 3 in the world. The amazing thing is number 2 is Domaine de Romanée-Conti, which sells for $10,000 and up a bottle. And number 1 was Penfolds Grange, which is now $600 a bottle. Let me just tell you, places number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are also exponentially more expensive than this wine. This wine is only $100 a bottle. And I've been saying this for a long time. If you love Bordeaux varietals and big red wines, you can't beat the value that's coming out of South America. Nicolas Catena was the first person, he's the most important vintner in Argentina, but the first person to really stand up and say, we need to make world-class wine. We can make wines that compete with the rest of the world. He went to Robert Mondavi Winery in the 70s, saw what was going on there, and they were called the Test Tube Winery back then. Some of the best winemakers in California history came through that winery. Zelma Long, Mike Gergich, Warren Winarski. Paul Hobbs was he was working in the lab at that time. He met Nicolas, and Nicolas brought Paul back down. And, well, we know what happened to Paul Hobbs in Argentina, one of the hottest consultants down there, started his own winery, very successful. And these wines, like I said, I didn't realize how successful they'd been in the press. The number 3 wine. All the wines in the world rated by the Wine Advocate. Unbelievable. And still $100 a bottle. Hey, that's only because this wine's only got 98 plus points as its highest rating. I was just telling Ernesto, Nesty, they call him, the winemaker we had here to show us the wines last night. And I was saying, man, thank God this wine hasn't got 99 or 100 points, because it would be over $200 a bottle. Once you reach the 100-point mark in Wine Advocate, you're now paying at least $2 per points. Anyways, you can't drink points, but you are going to pay for them. And these wines, some incredible values in the entire lineup. Nicolas Catena makes about 50 million bottles of wine a year. I mean, they're one of the largest producers in the world. And everything on their label, from the bottom level of quality all the way up to the top, is worth the price tag. That's the important thing. You have to have quality and value at all price points. Nothing with the Catena name on it are you going to be disappointed with at any price range. Well, we had the Catena Alta Chardonnay, and this winery now boasts the 2 highest rated Chardonnays coming from Argentina with their White Bones and White Stones project. But we had a little of the Alta, which this is from the Adriana Vineyard, calcareous soils here, really cool climate at 5,000 feet, very high up. You get very Burgundian style Chardonnay. This wine very rich. It does spend 14 months in French oak, so you get a little bit of that spice there, and a beautiful bouquet of lemon meringue, cream flan, and lightly toasted oak spice. Wine really opens up nicely on the second day. The 2012 vintage showing some lovely structure. This wine's got a good amount of tree fruit, that apple and lemon citrus showing with a nice creamy texture, some nice notes of oak spice at the end, keeping things fresh all the way to the finish. Like I said, very Burgundian in style. If you had this in a blind tasting, I don't think you'd ever guess it's from Argentina. Well, not many Argentinian Chardonnays this good, especially at $31.50. On this offer, 27 and change, and incredible value. All right, well, our host wanted to start with, or Nesty wanted to start with the red wines first, and I know Thaddeus was very happy about that. Some people like to show the red wines and then go back to the whites. Freshens up the palate. But anyways, these wines are all good. It doesn't matter what order you show them in. We started out with the Catena Alta Malbec, and this is a little different. Most producers in Argentina will show their Cabernet first and then their Malbec, but I mean, you could have went either way with this wine. Both of these wines, excellent. And Nicolas Catena planted the first Malbec vineyard in Mendoza in 1902. Wow. And he's one of the first people to really start marketing Malbec and selling it around the world as a single varietal from Argentina. And this comes from a couple of their different vineyard sites. They have 4 of them. I'm sorry, all 4 of them. And some of the historic rows, some of the best vines in these vineyards go into the Alta Malbec. And this wine has got a very well-endowed nose with violets, blackberry, blueberry fruit, some sweet tobacco spice, some licorice notes, and really solid core of that blackberry fruit on the palate, those pretty floral notes showing, and a wonderful freshness. That's one of the things you get from the high altitude in Mendoza. Some chalky notes at the end. This wine needs a little bit of time, but have a little steak with it. It'll show really nicely. Excellent juice. And then the Cabernet, this has got a little bit of Cabernet Franc in it, 12%. Another thing that they do here is something that's common in in the old world. They co-ferment these varietals together when they're ripe at the same time. They get co-fermented, and that's very common in the old world. When you had a vineyard you just picked all the varietals that were ripe and fermented them, and they go through the vineyard sometimes 5 or 6 times to pick. Incredibly labor intensive to do this. Only the greatest wineries in the world do that. This is a blend of their couple of different vineyard fruits that we put on here. It's got some lovely red and blackberry fruit on the nose, some fine herbs, cigar box spice, some fresh earth here. Really nice, elegant, old world style Cabernet Sauvignon. Solid core of fruit on the palate, some lovely zesty spice there, fresh earth. Wonderful balance in this wine though. This wine will last for up to a decade in your cellar. If you're going to open it tonight, decanter it for a couple hours. Well, any of these wines will do better with a little breathing. Excellent juice at $50 a bottle. All right, and then the Nicolas Catena Zapata wines. Oh, I'm sorry, we did the white wines after the red wines. The white stones and the white bones. This is a new project, and like I said before, now they have the highest rated Chardonnays ever made in Argentina. 94, 96 points for these wines. And they're very different. The white bones showcases a little more minerality in this wine. This vineyard's got calcareous deposits and limestone, and the wind blew this stuff from the top of the mountains 250 million years ago. Very old soil they have here in Argentina. Fossilized animal bones found in there. And this wine's got, like I said, a little bit more earthiness to the nose. That limestone showing a really pronounced zesty lemon citrus here. Also a whiff of that oak spice, but the focus here more on those earthy, minerally components. Bright and focused on the tongue with a solid core of tree fruit, lemon, apple, nice minerality, that chalky nuance from the finish. Most excellent juice. Very long and layered. This wine needs time, as does the 211 White Stones. And these wines were made for the first time in the 2006 vintage, and they didn't release until 2009 because they wanted to make sure they got them right, and they're finally confident these wines are going to last 8 to 10 years in your cellar at least. That's what they were trying to do here, make age-worthy white wines, which did not exist before in Argentina. This wine's got a bit of that gravelly, minerally note to it. Green apple, some lemon zest also. Really nice, lightly toasted oak spice. Still a bit tightly wound, these 2011s. Bright and zesty on the tongue. Needs a little bit of time, but has wonderful balance. A dead ringer for white Burgundy. The 2010 White Stones, well, this wine has got definitely a little more fruit to it. It's a little richer, maybe showing a little of that bottle evolution. Some white peach, notes of butterscotch and vanilla bean creme brulee coming out on the second day. This wine really opening up nicely. Rich and layered on the tongue with a bit of that development showing. This wine's still a baby, though. It really has wonderful structure. This will last for a decade or more in your cellar. Lovely, rich, ripe fruit starting to emerge in this wine, but a firm hand of acidity to hold everything together, and that smooth, creamy texture. Nice minerality of this wine. Most excellent juice. That was my favorite of the 3 high-end Chardonnays. And then on to the big boys, the Catena Alta, Nicolas Catena Zapata, the Nicosia wine, and we had the Adriana, which are 2 of the single vineyards. They have 4 different single vineyard wines that they make. The Nicosia is located a little bit further south in the La Consulta region, and a little bit more structure in this wine. And this wine's got a really big nose here. The Cabernet that's co-fermented with the Malbec gives it a little more structure, and really nice, intense blackberry fruit, sweet tobacco spice, dark earth, rich, decadent berry fruit here showing on the tongue. Very masculine with that blackberry liqueur-like fruit lasting all the way to the end. Licorice spice, coffee, mocha. Wonderful complexity. Just more and more coming out as this wine opens. Absolutely beautiful. The Adriana, which this wine is from the highest elevation vineyard that they have here, so showing a little more freshness to this, and it's co-fermented with a little Viognier, so it adds a little bit of a floral lift to the nose, and like I said, that's a practice that they've been doing in the Northern Rhone for years. The acidity is higher in the white, so it actually helps fix the color in the red wine, also makes it a little darker. This wine's got a beautiful nose here, that floral component, you're noticing a little lift on the nose, the violets, blackberry fruit, an array of earth, graphite, spice, really big and powerful on the palate, but still has got some wonderful freshness and balance. This wine a little fresher than the Nicosia, but still very big. This wine needs a bit of time, but all the right stuff in proportion. And then the Argentino, and this is a blend of those 2 vineyards that we just mentioned, Adriana and Nicolas, they made this wine for the first time in '04. And then they figured out, well, we should make these other single vineyard wines to kind of show where this wine comes from. And wow, what an incredible bouquet. And this wine has got a really brilliant nose here. Black currant, dark berry fruit, mocha, licorice. Even more complex on the second day. A big and chewy wine on the tongue. This wine's got wonderful freshness, a long finish. Still quite a bit tannic here. But you know, the tannins are ripe and round in these wines. You could definitely drink them. If you have a nice big steak, it definitely helps take some of that out. Or some nice Reggiano Parmigiana cheese. This wine will last a few decades in your cellar, and I like this wine better than either one of the single vineyards, but just marginally. This Argentino just showing the best of both of those two sites coming together. And then we have the big boy, the Nicolas Catena Zapata. And like I mentioned before, one of the highest scoring wines according to the Wine Advocate in the world, number 3 from 2004 through 2009, an average score of like 97 point something. And wow, really big wine here. This wine's got a beautiful, intense aroma of dark cherry, black currant fruit, 75% Malbec, 25% Cabernet Sauvignon from all 4 of those vineyard sites. The best fruit that they can come up with every year. It's got some pretty violet floral notes in the nose, toasty oak spice, espresso, fresh earth, all that, and a box of chocolates. Even better on the second day. This wine has got an incredible immediate appeal to it. It's 09 vintage, so it's still a baby, but that ripe, round tan in these wines have really make them somewhat appealing young, but firm hand of acidity here holding things together. This wine will last for decades in your cellar. Killer juice, and one of the top wines made not only in Mendoza, but in the world. Kudos to the Catenas for making one of the world's greatest wines, and that's what we had to drink with our friends from Nicolas Catena. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.